The decline in gold declaration continues to engage the attention of the Ministry of Natural Resources and the Environment and its agencies. While authorities and operators in the mining industry grapple with the possible causes of this significant decline, one thing remains certain: the country's economy can be severely affected by a continuous shortfall in declarations. This week on El Dorado Shines, we will take a closer look at the process by which the volume of gold produced is recorded and the role played by officers of the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission, GGMC. Among its many responsibilities, GGMC is also tasked with ensuring that the information provided by miners, particularly as it relates to the volume of gold produced, is accurate.
Our role at the Mines Division is basically to regulate and monitor the activities in the mining sector.
In this regard, the measures put in place by GGMC provides for a careful examination of mining operations.
When we go into the fields, normally we inspect the mining activities, it's a mining operation or business premises, to ensure full compliance with the relevant laws.
Every inspection of a mining operation, we literally look for the administrative part of the operation as well as the physical part or the actual mining of this operation. The first thing we do as soon as we arrive at the site, we ask for information concerning the actual dredge. We need to see and make sure all equipment are registered with the commission. That's the first thing. After that has been cleared, we then move on to the actual property that the operation is working on. The property, it's very important because we keep getting problems where a lot of raiding is concerned and persons working other people's property, a lot of dispute. So we need to make sure also the property is cleared. Then we look at the workers. Each worker must have a valid mining privilege or a certificate of registration. We need to know that they're there, the claim holder knows they're there, as well as the dredge owner knows they're there. If we don't have that clarity, then that person will have to leave that operation or that particular property.
Pursuant to Section 10 of the Guyana Gold Board Act, Chapter 6601 of the Laws of Guyana, all shop owners in mining districts within the meaning of the Mining Act, Chapter 6501 of the Laws of Guyana, are by law required to sell all gold in their possession to the Guyana Gold Board within 14 days of obtaining such gold. Guyana is making more lands and resources available for mineral production and investments in the natural resources sector. These initiatives are being pursued in keeping with the country's commitment to protect the environment. Mining officers working in the field play an important role in helping to determine the quality of gold each operator has produced. This information goes a far way and helps to shape the expectation of authorities in declaration levels.
Each mining operation should have a production book. The production book is issued by GGMC for $2,000. It has a total of 100 pages. It's done in a triplicate, where miners on a day-to-day basis would record what they did, whether or not they make gold or they don't make any gold. But day-to-day they will record this information for the inspectors or mines officers upon any our visits. When we visit an operation, we expect to see the book written up to the previous day. If it's not, then they have to explain to us why that has not happened. If we see you logging behind, let's say 2 months, a few weeks behind, there's actually a regulation that says we can charge you also for that. Because we need to know the history of your operation, what you've been doing for the last few weeks, months. And if we don't see that, then obviously there's something, we would actually assume that something is a bit wrong or fishy with the operation.
The mines officer starts with recording all aspects with respect to production, which will entail gold produced, gold or diamond produced, tailings management specifics, number of men up working in the operation, number of fuel used, if there's an excavator, the SD number, the name of the operator, etc. Now this information is recorded from the date of the last inspection to current. And due to the fact that the mines officer is not always there at the time of production for any mining operation, then it is left for him to just record whatever the mine would have placed in the book. This is what you get a typical production book, and this is the production sheet. This is the entire book. This is a sheet. Now the information that is required to be submitted by the operator would include the mining district in which the dredge is operating. This is the dredge number, registration number. The location in this case would be the Jawalo Armenian village. If there's an excavator or crusher, then this is also required that you place a tick here. Here, the name of the owner, the name of the operator. Now in this case, it caters for the name of the claim, the permit or license. This case is between the Jawala Armenian title land. If you know, and the name of the old is Jawala Village Council. Now it requires the year, month, the days are, then it places the dates here. These are the activities prior to production. Some of the activities will meet the proportion in play by saying clean land, clear land, pass, gravel, etc. But then the final thing is the wash down. Now at the end of every wash down, if any goal is won, then it is recorded in this column area production. If it's gold, then you do production. In some cases you got diamond, you write in the diamond. In cases where you got both gold and diamond, you indicate. Now in addition to that, the operating hours for dredges, the crew number of men, if gasoline was used during this particular period, diesel, those has to be recorded. The size of the pit and the turbidity or NTU value of the water that's being discharged from the sluice box. Now, if for some reason the gold that's produced here doesn't go straight to the gold board, and the mineral is bartered by an authorized agent in the field, which would be, of course, a shop, somebody with a shop that has a license to trade in gold and precious stone, then we have this section where the amount of gold sold to that shop or trader is recorded here, and he signs as receiving it. It's like a receipt of the gold that was sold to him. So in terms of you put the date, whatever gold was produced here, this is your opening stock. Then you write the amount that was transferred and the balance you have. And this is the trader's name, license, the amount of gold you receive with the signature. Now, this area caters for persons who can transport the gold from the mining operation to Georgetown. Here, I hereby certify true and correct production to registered serial. This is the signature of the person who would have owned the property or the dredge. And then, if for some reason the dredge owner or the property owner is not the person carrying the gold to Georgetown, then they have to authorize. I hereby grant permission to whoever they authorize to convey the mill to Georgetown. And then the claim holder signs off here. Well, upon each inspection, when the information is inspected and recorded, the mines officer is required to sign his or her signature and date of inspection here. And that completes the process of inspection and recording production data.
Additionally, miners are required to state other key information which, among other things, can serve to easily identify the owner and nature of the operations.
Each dredge book must have a suction dredge number attached to it. There's an area on the book also for your property, type of property, the owner of the dredge, also the operator of the dredge. Then there's a part at the bottom of the book also for the inspector or the mines officer that we would fill out, or the engineer would fill out that part. That's not for the miner. But there's a line or columns available for daily transaction. Every day they can record their information in it. You have your ounces, your pennyweight, your grains, then you have your stones, carats, and you have your points. They record this information, we sign off on this information.
Provisions are also made to capture gold sold by miners at authorized shops throughout the districts.
If a miner decides to go to a shop and sell his gold, they need to balance that information with what they would have recorded before on that book. Like if they make 10 ounces of gold, they went to the shop and they decided to sell 2 ounces of gold for whatever reason, fuel, food, that information should balance off at the bottom with the license number of that shop, so that when they're ready to sell this gold, or mines officer come and say, man, I'm seeing 10 ounces of gold in your book, but then you're only declaring 8 ounces. You're only showing me 8 ounces here. What happened? When he looks at the bottom of the book, he can clearly see that. He can clearly see that that extra 2 ounces was used up.
By the Guyana Gold Board Act, Caption 6601, Section 9(2), all persons licensed by the Geology and Mines Commission to advance money or supply goods on credit to miners for payment in gold are required to inform the Guyana Gold Board of the receipt of gold within 10 days of receiving such gold, and to sell all gold so received on demand to the Guyana Gold Board. Record every transaction in a book kept for that purpose, stating the amount of money advanced or the description, amount and cost of goods supplied, and amount of gold received as payment for said goods. Produce that book for inspection by any officer of or person authorized by the Guyana Gold Board. The mining and quarrying sector is expected to return a moderate growth of 2.8% in 2014. Gold, which is the dominant factor in this sector, is targeted to produce 484,562 ounces, a moderate growth of 0.7%, reflecting the volatility of world market prices and consequent impact on investment and production. The Guyana Gold Board is currently engaging the Guyana Gold and Diamond Miners Association and licensed gold dealers to ensure that all matters of gold declaration and the legal trading of gold is done within the confines of the laws of Guyana. It is estimated that Guyana has lost close to $100 million in foreign exchange and approximately $1.5 billion in royalties and taxes due to this decline.
We know that the declaration is about 20% less, and that would result in about $100 million less in foreign exchange earnings, and also about $1 to $1.5 billion less in royalty and taxes. With this decline, it is going to have an adverse effect, not with respect to, the exchange rate per se in the immediate future, but later down the road, we can have an adverse effect.
In examining this worrying situation, authorities have been looking at some of the possible causes behind this decline in declaration.
We know that there have been declines in prices. We know also there is a level of what we may refer to as hoarding. There could also be the possibilities that some of the gold is being exported illegally. So those maybe are three factors.
One of the things we look at, maybe GGMC looked at the amount of dredges that have been registered. That doesn't mean the same amount of people are working, because it's important that you register your dredge every day. Dr. Gang and GGMC will tell you that you got 5,000-6,000 registered dredges and only about 800 people are selling gold. Maybe they're selling the gold outside, we don't know. But we know certain causes are why the miner have a problem. As mentioned, the price, of course, that is very important. Price of gold has dropped significantly. Our costs of production have maintained at a level. So the miner now is finding it very difficult to stay in business. And a lot of miners now are coming out of the business. As you may have read in the papers, the equipment companies are taking back equipment, or people are giving back equipment, because the cost of staying in business now it has remained static while the price is up. In addition to that, a lot of miners are complaining that they don't have proper lands to work, because the lands they were working were marginal. Now when the price was high, yes, maybe you were making a living. But now with marginal lands and the price drop and the cost remain high, it's difficult for them to survive now in the industry. Also, when the price of gold was escalating, a lot of people invested in the industry. They retooled, they bought new equipment, new technology and such. And now this, don't forget, this price dropped over a period of 6 months. So everybody was preparing, hopefully, for continuous rise in price, and that didn't happen.
Don't let's panic. And don't let's look for victims. The reality, there is a crisis in the gold industry. That is a reality, which has been brought on primarily by the low price of gold. And as the president said, and it caught a lot of people off guard. So it's like, it's also caught up partly the government off guard because of our good records. So I can understand where they're coming from because they may have budgeted certain expenses based on the income. But we have to accept there's a crisis. And when there's a crisis, one needs to look to see how best one can survive the crisis. The crisis is there. It will not go away until such time as the price of gold increases and as so forth, and people start to get good returns. Mining is a business that one invests heavily. It's a high-risk business. And one of the primary reasons for one investing heavily is because, to be honest, if you're successful, you get very good returns.
By the Guyana Gold Board Act, Caption 6601, Section 10(1), all persons licensed by the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission to trade in valuable minerals and precious stones are legally required to inform the Guyana Gold Board of the purchase of all gold within 14 days of such purchase, and to sell all gold in their possession on demand to the Guyana Gold Board. Record every transaction in a book kept for that purpose. Produce that book for inspection by any officer of or person authorized by the Guyana Gold Board. Polluting waterways and vegetation through mining activities is an offense. Be responsible. Protect the environment. The Guyana Gold Board maintains that the importance of declaring gold produced in the specified time frame cannot be overstated, since this has far-reaching consequences for the industry.
We're talking about declaration here. We're not just talking about selling your gold. It's just you have to make a declaration. And that is very, very important because it provides for, the kind of planning that is needed and to know when, flows are going to be occurring for, better management of not only economy but also for the private entities and those other stakeholders in the sector. Having said that, it is important, very, very important, that we all know what a declaration is, so we can provide the kind of policy measures that can help or assist in moving the sector forward in an efficient and an effective manner that can continue to provide for the betterment or improvement in the welfare of the Guyanese people.
I would like to improve upon miners, and this is the reason for me making this statement is to make our work lighter and to make the whole industry a friendly and friendly industry. To comply with the law, continue to comply with the law, and let me get at least we try to achieve 80 to 100% compliance in the fields. So that's to eradicate raiding and other breaches of the Mine Act regulation. So that'll make our work easy and also make their work easy.
Pursuant to Section 6 of the Guyana Gold Board Act, Chapter 6601 of the Laws of Guyana, all miners are by law required to sell all gold produced to the Guyana Gold Board or any authorized gold dealer within 28 days of obtaining such gold. The Ministry of Natural Resources and the Environment is creating conditions for the responsible and sustainable exploitation of the country's natural resources. Operators are encouraged to mine with the environment in mind.
Widespread dumping of garbage is unhealthy and dangerous to the environment.
And environmental effects of garbage. Numerous to consider. Garbage harbors vermins and disease-carrying agents such as mosquitoes. And one can reflect on the issue of chikungunya and other diseases such as malaria. We know garbage cans, the empty drink caps, the empty drink cans, they allow mosquitoes to breed, and that is obviously will have an impact on the health of people in and around Georgetown, the city. Not only disease-carrying agents, but things like plastic, the PET bottles, they carry toxins, and they actually absorb toxins. They act like sponge, and when end up into the rivers and waterways, these toxins are released into the environment.
There is a better way.
They're looking at potential interest to set up a recycling plant in Guyana, and a very huge recycling plant. And that plant will actually accommodate all sorts of garbage, including waste from industry. We're looking at things like the paddy husks and so on, the poultry waste, manure and stuff like that, in addition to the bottles and the plastics and what's not. And converting these into products that they themselves can actually, sell back in the air. And there are also technologies that are where the EPA is looking at that as well. When we're going out to our regular industrial compliance visits and so on, we're encouraging them to adopt green technologies. So, for example, a swine rearing operation can install a simple biodigester that collects the waste, and that is formed methane, and it can be burned and used as an alternative energy source. I mean, what we're doing is just now providing the opportunities for people to start thinking along these lines, and hopefully we can work out some form of fashion to encourage them to adopt those technologies.
Keeping our surroundings clean means lower health risks, less clogged drains, and a safe place for both business and pleasure. To help us achieve this, new litter prevention regulations are now in place.
The litter enforcement regulations were enacted earlier this year under the Environmental Protection Act. And it really represents a significant achievement, not just for the agency and by extension the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment, but it's also a major achievement for Guyana because it represents to date the most comprehensive piece of legislation addressing littering in Guyana. Prior to the regulations being enacted, there were bits and pieces of legislation that dealt with certain aspects of littering in a piecemeal fashion, but there was no single piece of legislation that comprehensively criminalized litter activities and litter-related activities in Guyana. So in that respect, the regulations serve as a major achievement for the country. Under the regulations, deposit is defined very widely. So it's wide enough in its scope to cover a situation not only where a person actually physically deposits litter in a public place, but also where through their words or conduct cause litter to be deposited. So that would include situations where, for instance, a business person recruits a vagrant to dispose of litter and gives him no instructions in terms of where would be an adequate place to dispose of this litter. In that situation, the legislation envisages that the business person, and not necessarily the vagrant alone, is the person who can actually be issued with a charge. In the wake of the implementation of the litter regulations, I am extremely proud to say that we have seen much success in terms of our actual enforcement mechanisms. We have had cause to issue close to 100 citations under the regulations, primarily to business owners, authorizing them or instructing them to clean up their surroundings within a specified time frame or face the possibility of court action. Recently, we even had a situation where a business owner was brought before the purview of the courts and was made to pay $130,000 in fines, $100,000 for actually littering, and then $30,000 for attempting to bribe a litter warden. So in that respect, we have seen much success in terms of the actual enforcement mechanisms under the regulation.
We all have a role to play in protecting the environment. Stop littering. Do the right thing.
To learn more about the new litter prevention regulations, visit the Ministry of Natural Resources and the Environment's website at www.nre.gov.gy and click on the link Pick It Up Guyana. Check us out on the internet for this and every episode of Eldorado Shines. Just go to YouTube, search for Eldorado Shines and start watching. Or like us on Facebook and receive instant updates.
Welcome to Guyana, the gateway to South America. A pristine haven of abundant natural resources. We are a nation born in sacrifice and enriched by our togetherness. When we play, we celebrate every effort. When we celebrate, we salute more than success. We exude our right to move forward.
You've been looking at Eldorado Shines. Do join us again next week for another program. Until then, do remember that we all have a role to play in protecting the environment.